So, avoidants often shut down the moment a conflict arises, leaving you quite unsure a lot of the time about where you truly stand. And it can feel frustrating to feel like every single little disagreement pushes the avoidant partner further and further away, especially if it's somebody you're still even getting to know. So, what is it that avoidant partners really do need in a relationship dynamic to feel like a conflict isn't something that drives a massive wedge between you for the long haul, but instead is something that allows you to see each other, understand each other's viewpoints more effectively, and then take the necessary steps to feel even more connected after a conflict actually occurs? And believe it or not, there are a few major things that dismissive avoidants in particular tend to really need in order to reconnect quite easily after a conflict takes place. And in today's video, I'm going to take you through 4 major things a dismissive avoidant needs during a potential conflict, but most importantly, after a conflict, in the stage known as rebonding after a conflict, which by understanding these things and allowing yourself to dive into expressing them will help a dismissive avoidant come way out of their shell way more quickly after a conflict so that there doesn't have to be this long-standing separation if something went wrong. So here are some of the first major things a dismissive avoidant needs, and then we're going to get into like the love language and the opening up about fears part. The first thing is that dismissive avoidants respond to conflict best when conflict is something that is harmonious. Now, for a lot of you, you're going to be like, what? How can conflict possibly be harmonious? Well, let me tell you, if you learn how to do conflict effectively, conflict is actually something that you felt somebody didn't understand that you loved or cared about. And by communicating and conveying that in a healthy way, what you're actually doing is breaking down an invisible wall that exists between you and somebody else. So let's just say, for example, let's pretend I'm dating somebody and I'm dating them for 4 months. And let's say in this pretend theoretical world, I am anxiously attached. And let's say that person is a little bit more avoidant. And let's say I'm doing the work to become secure, but I'm not there just yet. If I'm feeling resentful or anxious or stressed out because I'm not getting the type of consistency and communication that I need, if I'm holding that in because I'm feeling that way, I actually have an invisible wall that I just built between myself and that person. So the moment that I go to that person and I say something like, hey, I'm really enjoying spending time with you and really enjoying seeing where this goes. And I also know that something that's really important to me that I look for in a relationship dynamic is that there's some consistency around communication. That doesn't mean texting all day, every day, but I'd love to make sure that we hear from each other on a daily basis going forward. Are you open to that? That, although it has the opportunity to create a negative conflict, instead is tailored in a way that if the other person is just reasonably healthy, is going to create a positive conflict. The difference between negative conflict is it drives you further apart, and positive conflict is it breaks down the invisible walls, bringing you closer together. And that is something that securely attached people do very well. And they have this recognition that conflict can be something harmonious. It can be something where I share openly. I can even go so far as to validate what I do see the person doing. Hey, I know you always show up and plan dates, and I really appreciate that. And something that I'm looking for is more consistency. So we can do it in a way where conflict doesn't have to be this scary, unsafe emotionally experience for 2 people. It can actually be something that brings you closer together. So that is a huge need for dismissive avoidance is they need harmonious communication. They want to hear, what it is that that the other person is looking for framed in a positive way. And it always is helpful if somebody, does add a validating point of what the person is doing because it helps them take it less personally. Now, is it on one person to do this alone? No, this has to be something you see that when you lead the way or you have that conversation, the other person responds and shows up that way as well. Okay. So these are really important tools that secure people naturally bring into relationships, by the way. So if you don't see yourself doing this currently, then this is something to work on, but it's also something to vet to make sure the other person on the receiving end is also doing that work with you. Number 2, huge thing that dismissive avoidants need to connect after a conflict is they want to understand that you are in a place where you are not trying to get them to read between the lines. Dismissive avoidance, they want direct and literal communication. Now, once you've done that, if there was a negative conflict that you then turned into a positive conflict by communicating more clearly and directly and more harmoniously, so the conflict feels resolved, there's something after a conflict known as rebonding. And rebonding is the idea that we have to sort of get things back on track if at one point we did have a negative conflict. And some big needs that a dismissive avoidant has for rebonding specifically is acknowledgement and appreciation. Okay. So if they did engage in positive conflict with you afterwards, you can say, hey, I appreciate that you took the time to hash this out with me. That really matters to me. Okay. So something small but sincere. And remember, dismissive avoidance responds so much better to positive reinforcement than negative reinforcement. And that doesn't mean that you should just be running around positively reinforcing them all the time. It means that you should know if you have a need and you express it and then they meet it, if you positively reinforce it, they start feeling like, oh, I can do this. I can handle this. I'm capable of doing this. And it helps them actually show up and want to do this more. So it's using positive reinforcement as a form of healthy communication and as a strategy to get more of your needs met in a relationship. Another really important piece here for rebonding is dismissive avoidants feel connected to somebody a lot of the time if they have a laugh with somebody, if they have fun with them, if they do something entertaining. All of those things cause them to feel a sense of connection in a light way that makes them feel safe again enough to be vulnerable and open up more if they're also doing the work to become more and more secure. So doing something like that is really essential for a rebonding phase, even if it's just something small, like going for a walk and having a laugh or a chat or watching a funny video together. Like all those little things are really strong forms of rebonding with a dismissive avoidant that allows them to feel like they don't have to shut down and pull away, and instead they can really connect. Now, a couple other really big things that go a long way. I'm just going to cover two more. Also, if you want to do a deeper dive into any type of improving conflict communication, really knowing your needs and how to communicate them in a way that's going to allow you to truly get heard and understood by the people around you, no matter what their attachment style is, there are amazing communication hacks we have in the conflict resolution course. There's 5 hacks that will completely change your relationships, and you can take this course fully for free just for a limited time down below. So I will put a link to that if that helps you. But let's go back into our other 2 points. Is if they feel like there are acts of service. It's a sign of peace for a dismissive avoidant if you bring them a coffee or a tea or something like that. And you'll probably see a lot of the time that if you take a negative conflict, turn it into a positive conflict, so you hash it out and you share, and then you feel like there's a lot of resolution, but maybe you still feel that little bit of distance. A lot of times dismissive avoidants will do something like that for you. Like they will bring you a coffee or a tea. And oftentimes that's their way of extending peace or care or connection. And it goes a really long way. And then the last big thing is if you say something validating after a conflict, hey, I do want us to work on ABC in the relationship, but I do notice you're really doing XYZ. If you say something like that, it makes them feel like, okay, if I make an effort in the relationship dynamic, you will see me. You'll see that I'm putting an effort in, and it makes them want to put an effort in going forward. It makes them feel like their work and effort is recognized. And it also makes them feel like, okay, I can do this. And so that causes them to feel more positively motivated about taking action. And again, these are things that you can always vet for and check in with, but they're also healthy ways of communicating and conveying your concerns, your needs, and what it is that you're looking for proper resolution so that you can keep connecting more and more in a relationship dynamic. And in case you missed it, you can now reserve your spot and get more than a 50% early bird discount for our live relationship coach certification program. This 12-week program gives you the opportunity to build a new career, create your own thriving coaching practice, help your community, and secure your financial future full of abundance with a growing waitlist of clients. And the best part is that you get to spend a whole bunch of time with me as I teach you exclusive subconscious reprogramming tools and help you learn how to change somebody's attachment style from insecurely attached to securely attached so that you can truly help create transformation in people's lives and have a wait list of people waiting to work with you. We also have an entire business week about how to build funnels, systems, and to really build a thriving and busy practice. You can sign up using the link down below the video, and I can't wait to see you there. So that is it for today. Remember, you can check out that conflict communication course fully for free for a limited time if you want to go much deeper into this topic. And thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, share, subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed this content, and I will see you again soon.